Some people might recall the momentary buzz caused in 2009 by a particularly odd Morrowind mod. The file was jvk1166z.esp. It was never posted on any of the larger Elder Scrolls communities, only smaller boards and role-playing groups. I know in a few cases, rather than being posted, it was sent via PM or email to a chosen few. It was only up for a few days, to the best of my knowledge. It caused a buzz because it was a virus, or it seemed to be. If you try to load the game with the mod active, it would hang at an initial load screen for a full hour, and then crash to the desktop. If you let it get that far, your install of Morrowind, along with any save files you had, would become completely corrupted. Nobody could figure out what the mod was trying to do, since it couldn't be opened in a construction set. Eventually, warnings were distributed not to use it if you found it, and things died down. About a year after, in a mod board I used to frequent, someone popped up with the mod again. He said he was PM'd by a lurker who deleted his account immediately after sending. He also said that the person advised him to try playing the mod through DOSBox. For some reason, this worked. Sort of. The game was a bit laggy, and you couldn't get to options, load screen, the console, or really anything else, other than the game itself. The quick save and quick load hot buttons worked, but that was it. And the quick save file seemed to be just part of the game file, so you couldn't get at it anymore. Some speculated that the changed game used an older graphics renderer, making DOSBox necessary, but it didn't look any different. This part I can speak about from personal experience. When you start a game in JVK, as the board came to call it, once you leave the starting bit of the Senna's office and come to the game proper, the first thing you notice is that the prophecy has been severed box pops up. This is because every single NPC having to do with the main quest is dead, with the sole exception of Yagrum Bagar, the last of a Dwemer. Their corpses never despawn, so you can go check on all of them. In effect, you begin in a world that is doomed to start with. The second thing you notice is that you're losing health. It's only a bit, but it keeps happening, a little bit at a time. The longer you stay in one place, the quicker it seems to occur. If you let this health loss kill you, you'll find the cause. A figure we came to call the Assassin, because he seems to wear a retextured version of the Dark Brotherhood armor from Tribunal. Even though the expansions don't work in JVK, it's all black, completely untextured. It's like he's just a hole in space. The way he moves, he gave me quite a start. The first time I saw him scuttling around my dead body, he crawls inhumanly in his hands and feet. His arms and legs splayed out like a spider. You usually only see him after death, crawling around and over your body, just before the reload box popped up. Occasionally, you can catch a glimpse of him darting around the corner or crawling on the wall or ceiling. It made the game very difficult to play in the dark. Other than that, the only noticeable difference is that at night, at random intervals, every NPC in the game will go outside for a few minutes. During this time, the only thing they will say when hailed is "Watch the sky." Once they return to their normal behavior, they act regularly though. After a while, a player on the board discovered a new NPC called Tiaras, a male Dunmer in the temple at Ghostgate. Two things are notable about this NPC. First is his robe, a unique article of clothing that was lovely rendered with twinkling stars all across it, looking like a torn off chunk of a night sky. The second is that all of his dialogue, in addition of showing up in a dialogue box, is voiced. You can skip it through if you wish, but it all sounds like it's in the default male Dunmer voice. Some people said that they thought the voice was slightly different, but it was a very, very good imitation. I won't go into detail, but the questline sends you on has to do with a dungeon referred to simply as the Citadel. Up until this point, the quests were all fairly generic. Discover the secrets of the Ancients type. The entrance to this dungeon is on an island far to the west of Morrowind proper. I eventually discovered that if you use a scroll of Icerin Flight at the westernmost point at a main landmass and jump directly west, you'd end up almost exactly at the island. Even though the dungeon is called the Citadel, it goes straight down. It dwarfs any other dungeon, both in size and difficulty. From a natural cave area, you'll proceed down into an ancestral tomb-looking area, then a Daetric ruin area, and then a Dwemer ruin area. I made it down to the Dwemer ruins before I quit. The creatures here were so strong that a level 20 character would have to take care. And since you can't use the console in JVK, level 20 took a while to get to. Since safe and quick load are your only options, it's all too easy to get yourself into an impossible situation too. I did, and I just didn't have the energy to start over. What I'm telling you now is based on a testimony of those few who went further. Past the Dwemer ruins, you apparently find yourself in a level like the Dwemer ruins, but darker. Rather than a usual bronze, all the surfaces, including those of the creatures, are black. The sounds of machinery are loud here, and grow louder still, randomly. There's also steam or fog everywhere, limiting your vision to a 10 in-game feet or so. If you can make it through all this, you will reach a room at the end of a hall. Those who found it called it the portrait room. Like the fire and torches or other effects from early 3D games, this room had picture frames that always face directly at you. No matter how you look at them, the images in the frames are always randomly chosen images from your My Pictures folder. On the board, the ones who got to see this point had some fun posting screenshots of the portrait room with various pictures in the frames, usually porn of course. At the end of a hall was another locked door. After admitting defeat and returning to Tiaras, he could be found saying, "Watch the sky," in a gravelly voice. What's more, nobody else in the game would say anything. Talking to them would present a completely blank dialogue box with no options at all. They wouldn't even rattle off the usual canned, audible greetings. The only exception was at night. Whenever they'd go out for a few minutes, they repeated, "Watch the sky." At this point, one of the players, a friend of mine from the board, noticed and a few others who got this far agreed that the night sky was no longer the usual night sky in the Tamriel. It had changed to a depiction of a real night sky, and it moved. From this point, everything is based on what this one person reported. Eventually, he got himself kicked from the board, and I kept in contact with him for as long as he responded. According to him, based on constellations and planets, the sky started around February 2005. If you died, loaded, or went back to the Citadel, it would start over. When the usual day sky graphics take over, the movement would be suspended until the stars appeared again. In the space of a single night, everything would move about 2 months worth. Since the time scale of JVK was more or less than a standard game, it meant that a bit less than an hour was equal a 24-hour period. He became convinced that the door would open based on some kind of celestial event. Of course, waiting for that meant leaving the game running. Of course, that meant the game couldn't be left unattended. Thanks to our old friend, the assassin. My friend decided he'd hang out for a whole day, just to see if anything happened. That would be about a year's worth of movement. They're supposed he made at the end of this experiment. I loaded in Sedan, where it all starts. It wasn't too bad. Just had to check in now and then to move around and heal to make sure I wasn't dying. But check it out. 24 hours exactly in, the assassin learns a new trick. He screams. I was reading, and all of a sudden, this crazy loud screech just about makes me crap myself. It was like something out of a horror movie. I looked up and there he is, just crouched down right in front of me. Of course, the second I moved my character, he ran off. When I went back down to the portrait room, the door was still unlocked. Damn it, damn it, damn it. A bit later, he came to a decision that he needed to wait 3 days. 3 years. His reasoning was that the PM advising us to try DOSBox showed up in February of 2008. That was a point he needed to get to. After the first screech, the assassin stops hitting you out of nowhere. Now he'll screech, and if you don't move for a few seconds after that, he hits you. I think whoever made the mod was trying to help. At night, I got my headphones on, and I was just kind of dozing off. When he wakes me up with a screech, I joggle the mouse, and I'm good. That post was 2 days in, from his laptop, once it was over. God, I am so done. So, I waited 3 days, right? And right after the assassin made me jiggle the mouse, he shrieks again. So I looked, and everyone was in town outside. They were all saying, "Watch this guy." I didn't see anything though, but then the game started getting dark, like really dark. I turned the brightness all the way up on my monitor, and I still couldn't see a thing. There were other people in the game, little figures running around in a distance, just going back and forth. If I tried to get close, they run off. Now I was trying to sleep, so the lights were off, and this was kind of creepy. I didn't want to get up to turn on the light because I didn't want to miss anything, but nothing happened. Eventually, I got to the Citadel, and it was still dark, so I had to swim. And the whole time, I could see all these guys swimming all around me, just barely there. I make it to the Citadel, and it's normal light inside. And I got worried. Sure enough, the portrait door was still closed. I go outside, and it's starting all over. So that's it. I'm going to bed and I'm done. Good night. But after that, two things happened. First, there's someone else who got into the portal room, claimed that the assassin was showing up in his regular Morrowind game. Quick explanation. If you reinstalled Morrowind to a different folder, you can have a normal Morrowind installed along with JVK. He himself chalked it all to an overactive imagination at first, but he reported a couple of really big scares with a black figure crawling right at him, or seeing it waiting just around the corner before scuttling off. Another of those who reached the portrait room started a regular Morrowind game, but never saw him for sure. It was just a couple of maybes, late at night, and always at a distance. The second is that my friend started getting really abusive and short-tempered on the board. Though he stopped talking about JVK entirely, it got so bad that he was soon kicked off. I didn't hear anything from him for the past couple of weeks after that. So I sent him an email. This was part of his reply. I know I shouldn't have, but with classes out, I had some time, so I started JVK up again. It's almost 2011, and I think I've got the sleep madness, but stuff is happening. It's still dark. Once it gets dark, it never gets any lighter. It just stays like that. The people moved a few months ago. Everyone in Sedanin just went into a little bandit cave and moved in. They killed the bandits inside, and now they're just standing around inside. They don't see anything anymore. They don't do anything when you click on them. I quick saved and killed one, and he just stood there until he died without fighting back. And it's like that everywhere. You have to walk, since the quick travel people were all in caves now too. But all the cities and towns were deserted. Their people are in caves and tombs. Everyone in Vivek is down in the sewers. I'm going to Ghostgate next. I want to see if Tierras was still there. I'll tell you when he sees when I get there. I replied and said I wanted to see what he said too, and waited a day. When I didn't get a reply, I mailed him again, and a couple hours later, he sent back. Sorry, I totally forgot. It's 2011 now, since it's already night. The stars are already moving. The whole screen is dark, but you can still see the brightest stars moving around. TS was gone. Everyone in Ghostgate was gone. I don't know where they went. They're not in any of the nearby caves, but there's new stuff. People still don't say anything, but their eyes are bleeding. It's so dark that even with the light spell, you have to get right up against them to see. But there they are, little dark streaks coming down from their eyes. I think I gotta be getting close. I know this is stupid and there's no way the payoff is going to be worth it, but I just want to be able to say I stuck it out. I got that one during the day. Later at night, I received a follow-up email. Some of the planets aren't moving right. It's pissing me off if it keeps up. I won't be able to keep track anymore. It's almost 2025 now, I think. Fuck. You know, I just noticed that there aren't any monsters anymore either. I'm completely alone outside now. The main quest people's bodies are still laying around though. I went to check on them. I don't need headphones anymore, so I just leave them off when he shrieks. It's like he's screaming right into my ear. I think I even kind of anticipated. He's around a lot more now, a lot closer. He's different from the other people who started showing up, remember? They keep running around where I can barely see them. I had to admit, it was kind of scary at night. Sometimes, when I go to the bathroom or whatever, I swear I could see something out of the corner of my eye. I'm keeping all lights on now. I sent him a letter, jokingly telling him to get some real sleep, and left it at that. 2 mornings later, I found this in my email. It was the last thing I got from him. After it, he stopped responding completely. I just got up from a fucked up dream, I think. The assassin screeched at me, and when my eyes opened, he was there, crouching all over me. His arms and legs were longer and more like a spider's. I tried to push him away, but when I touched him, my hands went inside, and I couldn't get them loose again. Like he was made of tar or something. When I woke up, I thought he was gone, but when I looked at the monitor, I wasn't where I was. I was in a carpersurium with Yagrum. For once, the light was okay, and I could see him all bloated with those mechanical spider legs. I sat down at the computer and he started talking to me. Not in a box, but really talking to me. In Tierra's voice. He knew things about me. He told me things that I never told anyone, and some things I totally forgot about. He told me that almost nobody has made it this far, and that the door would be open soon. I just had to hang on for a little longer. He said I know when it was time. He said I might be the first one to see what was inside. And then I woke up for real, but I was at my computer. I still wasn't where I was. Right now, I'm swimming out into the Citadel Island, and I can hear this tapping. It's at my window. It's over on the left. So I'm sending this to you because I left my laptop on my bed. And to the right, just a little tap, 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 tap. Like he was knocking his finger against the glass. I might still be dreaming now. I guess that's the end of the story. I know there are a few other tales floating around about this mod, but this is the only one I know is true, as far as it goes. I deleted my JVK copy of the game pretty much right after I gave up. But I'd like to get that mod again. If anyone still has a copy of the file, I want to save some of this for myself.